The glitz and glam is the fame, but it's the work backstage that makes the game. I'm Crystel and Bandal, your host. Come with me behind the lens and watch their stories unfold. On our previous episodes, we talked about his childhood, how he became interested in performing arts, and how he changed from one career to another, and also how he teaches each student differently, what he finds is important as a coach, not just a runway model coach, but just as a coach in general, and how important confidence is in anything that you do in life, whether that be modeling, acting, dancing, whatever it is you do. How you present yourself to everyone around you is always going to be important. In this episode, we want to talk more about the future and what the modeling industry is like for everybody. So welcoming back to Behind the Lens is Quintin James.
Good to be back.
So we talked about how the fashion industry has changed over the few years.
Yeah.
What do you think the future is going to be? Maybe let's narrow it down to maybe 5 years?
I think it will continue to evolve. I think we're in a real resurgence at the moment where there's a lot of traction. So I think it will continue to evolve. I don't think we're going to see massive changes. In everything, it takes time because you have to think about where the industry has been for the last 100 years. And it hasn't changed for such a long time. And now we're demanding something different. So don't expect massive changes overnight. It will slowly change, I think, and as some people that make those decisions of how it has been sort of dwindle out of the industry and the new people come through, we'll see more change. But you know, it'll take time, but it's a positive thing for sure. Yeah.
That's good. What kind of changes are you hoping to see?
I'm hoping to see some fairness. Like I was saying before, the reality of an industry is the reality. It is what it is. But I think we are seeing more diversity on the runway and in photographic. I would like to see the health benefits of those artists, because I consider models as artists. They're creative artists as well. The mental health and physical health of those people as well. We don't talk about that a lot. We don't talk about that with dancers or actors and things like that. I mean, look at the suicide of Robin Williams. Things like that, we didn't expect any of that. And that's the interesting thing with mental illness, and it all comes from different avenues. So I think whether it's physical or mental or spiritual, we need to nurture people in the industry. We need to support each other. And I think we're starting to see a little bit more of that support and a less of that cutthroat, you know, I'll do anything to get ahead situation. I think that side of things is starting to be frowned upon, which is excellent because we can now focus on support. Great that you got that job, great you did this, you know, and help each other be better at what we want to do and move forward.
Yeah. And as a coach, or even myself as a presenter, how do you think we should keep this trend of like changing and challenging those negative side of the industry, turning it into something positive? How do you think we should keep the kids educated about it?
Talk, communicate. Don't let the conversation die. The reason why revolutions happen and the movements happen is because it gets traction. People keep talking about it, whether it's through social media, whether it's programs like this, whether it's print, whether it's blogs, education programs, whether it be through schools or workshops, communication. And allowing people to interject their thoughts, whether I don't mind how old you are. Everyone has an idea. So when I teach, I ask my students lots of questions. What do you think about this? How does that feel? Because I can't dictate what you do. I can tell you the skills that you require, but if something doesn't work for you, it doesn't work. I need to work out as a coach, how do I make it work? So dialogue with my students is really important. And I think in these sort of situations, it's the same. We can't stop talking about it, and we've got to start exposing certain things in a certain way so people are educated by it. You know, not everything is negative. Everything is, you know, everything has 50-50, but we need to talk about both sides consistently if there's going to be that movement, I guess, or that change. Because when change stops, it's when the dialogue stops. And it usually stops because we feel pressure to stop talking. And I think, don't feel that pressure. Just keep talking about it. Yeah.
Do you think with all these changes and kind of social media gives everybody like this freedom of speech kind of thing, and that's where kind of the Me Too movement came from. Do you think the industry will continue stopping that or trying to stop it from happening?
I think social media plays a positive and a negative part in the modeling industry, the fitness industry, the dance industry, whatever industry. We see perfection on Instagram, we see this, we see that. And so many people strive for that. We see addiction to social media. And we see people posting because something hasn't happened to their Instagram account and they're like, oh my God, my world's over. Like, come on, let's be realistic. It's easy for me because I grew up without social media. So I can see both sides. But I think social media is a great platform for you to explore and play, but it's also easy for people to sit behind a keyboard or behind their phone and write a negative comment, and it goes out to millions of people. And I think that's not a good thing. And how do you stop it? I don't think you can stop it. It comes down to you either not reading your negative comments or not letting it affect you, being true to who you are and what you want to do. So I think when it comes to movements, there's always going to be someone wanting to try and shut you up. Stop it. You know, I don't want it to get any bigger because someone else will be exposed or something else will be exposed. It's not always about one thing. It's like we're going down a road and then we don't want to stop this conversation. Oh, we found out this, oh, we found out that. So we keep going down different roads and exposing different people or different parts of the industry. So people that run an industry don't want this information out. It's that simple. So there's always going to be someone or some group that is going to want to squash it.
Yeah.
It's just, that's life. And I think, let them try. Let them try. I think it comes down to speaking truth though. There is a lot of false accusations and there are a lot of false imagery and different things on social media. So it's sifting between what is not real, like the false, and what is true. And I think if you're speaking your truth, you're okay.
Mm-hmm. Then how do you figure out what's real and what isn't?
That's a very good question. I don't know, because we are bombarded with images and dialogue you don't know. And I think if you're going to go down a particular road and get involved in a certain conversation, you need to educate yourself before you speak. You just can't start mouthing off about a particular person or an industry if you have no real reference point to that. If you've only heard it third hand from someone, oh yeah, that person did this or that industry is like that, then I don't think you have a place to get involved in that particular conversation. Educate yourself first and talk from experience. And if people aren't prepared to talk from experience, then maybe be their voice for them. But don't just blurt anything out, because then we don't know what's true and false. So it's a matter of being true, but also getting involved in what you feel you have a place to say in. Don't get involved in all the other garbage that's out there. Yeah.
With the trend of kind of diversity and increasing inclusion in the industry, there is still a large portion of the population that's kind of really insecure, and they kind of just paint their Instagram with positivity when they really aren't, or with confidence when they're really insecure about themselves. What's your advice on them, and how do they overcome that?
Get off social media for a while. Detox. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, we get with the social media, especially Instagram, Facebook, we live by the likes. How many people liked my picture, or what comments did I get? And we see this addiction with these young people and young adults, that if they didn't get X amount of likes, this whole new thing with Instagram not posting likes, there's been an uproar.
Yeah.
People going into meltdown. So I think if you're at a point where you're like, I need that, it's like any addiction, whether it be alcohol, drugs, whatever that is, you're an addict. You need to detox, and you need to get out in the real world. You need to put your phone down and actually interact with people, get out in nature, I don't know, donate your time, you know, work for a charity, do something that shows meaning and purpose, because we are so consumed with fake imagery, we're so consumed with being perfect and presenting ourselves, we lose what we're on this planet to do. Are we here just to look good and be fake? Or are we here to impact humanity somehow? How do we do that? The best way to do that is by donating your time, whether it be coaching, whether it be at a charity, whether it be an animal shelter, something. Give yourself back to the community, because put your phone down and just don't get involved. Really just detox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with, I think it's only Australia's Instagram that took off the likes.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a positive thing for the kids?
Fantastic.
Yeah?
I think it's fantastic. I mean, I'm on Instagram. I don't know, I'd go 3 weeks and forget to post something. And people are like, why do you have this account? I'm like, oh, no. I forget. It's the same with Facebook. People are always on my case. You need to be more on your social media. And I just totally forget about it because it's not the most important thing to me. But I grew up in a different era where it wasn't that way. I think it's a fantastic thing, you know, because it feeds into that neuroses of needing approval from everybody else. If this picture didn't get 40,000 likes or 10,000 or 2 likes, I'm going to take it down. I never post anything like that again. People are spending money they don't have, time they don't have, presenting themselves in a way that they don't actually really exist. For some other fake person to like them, it's like, they're just as fake as you. Like, what is this? Barbie's dream house? Like, you know what I mean? It's, what is the point? That's not your life. That's not reality. And I think I think it's a great thing that we have stopped that, and I hope the rest of the world follows suit.
Yeah. I definitely know some people who do take down some photos if they don't get enough attention. And honestly, I used to be guilty of that too when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I think I've just gotten over it, speaking to my mom, especially when she's like, post. You like, people want to know what you're up to.
Yeah.
I think you just need to get over that barrier and be like, this is who I am. If you like me or not, doesn't matter, because I don't actually know who you are.
Yep.
If you're interested, then you are. Then join me on this journey.
Yeah.
And I think people need to realize that side as well. That's what social media, I think, is for. It's connect with people who have the same kind of interest as you, not just following you just because that you got this or you're doing this kind of thing.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's a great tool. Social media is a fantastic tool. Look what it's done for our industry. In saying that, it's done a lot of negative. I mean, we don't have print magazines. We don't have all sorts of different things but that's an evolution, isn't it? We're all evolving consistently. So it now needs to take the place of something else. It's how you do that. And I think it was such a quick thing as well. We haven't learned how to navigate the rules, the laws, the long-term effects on it. It's a process, and I think we're all guilty of being addicted to social media in some way. And I think when you start removing yourself from your actual circle of friends and being focused on your online friends, you kind of go, oh, there's actual real people that like me. You know, as you just said, these people don't know me. They don't know anything about me. And I think the thing I notice with celebrities and actors and singers is the more posts they get is usually from the photos of them not looking perfect. You know, it's them just being general, because as a society we are consumed, obviously, with celebrity, but we want to know everything about them, like what they had for breakfast, where they walk, you know, like everything, not just the photo shoot. So when people are posting random, just everyday things, I think that's what gets the traction. That's what the public, anyone that follows you, is actually really interested in. It's not just the glamour shots, because we know all the work and effort goes into those. It's the general stuff that I think people actually like, because they're like, that's me. Yeah. That's exactly me. I add toast with Vegemite too, or whatever. They connect on that level, because not everyone's going to do a photo shoot every day or present a TV show or do a runway show. So it's the general day-to-day that your general followers and the public, or your fans, whatever you want to call them, connect to.
And in that way, then they also feel inspired, because say that you're a famous actor and I'm your follower, and you're doing the exact same things I'm doing. I'm like, oh well, I can actually be a famous actor too.
Yeah.
So it's a a tool that can be used in so many ways, but it just depends on how you educate the people who are using it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I want to know now is, what do you want to do with, like, seeing that the fashion industry is evolving?
Mm-hmm.
How do you wish your teaching methods to evolve as well?
Oh, I'm pretty already evolved. No, everything changes because, you know, kids these days are being taught different things in school. There's different rules. Their interaction is different because they're less interactive with you. They're more on a screen. So the way you have to communicate with them is different. The skill set you have to give them is a bit different. I think I approach, I'm not going to change the way I approach things. I think it works for me. I have to look at the industry as a whole, and I think as the fashion industry or the pageant industry, whatever I'm working within, and going, where is that moving? Because if I don't move with it in some way, then I become obsolete. I become the dinosaur. So I have to look at it and go, I agree with that, I don't agree with that, but it's moving in that way. How do I navigate what I do, my way, to suit that in a way that I feel comfortable? So for me, I go, look at the industry and go, yeah, it's here. I feel comfortable being here in it. I will do that part and I won't do the rest. Okay. Yeah.
With the things that are changing in the industry, there are a lot of positive things, as you said. What are some negative things that you wish would have more attention in changing?
We need to talk about how to get into the industry. The agency side of things, the photographic side of things, portfolios, what's required, because that's a trap. That's where a lot of people get trapped because they know better. How do I find an agent? Why do I have to pay $2,500 to this agency? Or why do I have to do this? Or what? I don't understand. So I think we need to have that kind of dialogue. And I think the more workshops that happen, or seminars, talks, webinars, whatever happens, I think we need to look at that side of the industry as well, because a lot of these kids, young adults, older adults, whatever, don't know how to get into the industry. And they're told by a particular person, you need to do this. And then they fork out their money and they do these things that they're not comfortable with or whatever. And it leads to nothing because the agency is really making its money off the photo shoots or whatever, not actually, you know, the work, because most agencies can only charge 10%. So, you know, if you're not working a lot in the industry, they're not making much money. Where they're making their money from? They're making it from their styling and their photo shoots and their portfolios. And there's nothing wrong with a photographer charging X amount, a large amount, whatever, because they're a reputable photographer. I think it's not so much the photographer, it's the collaboration of photographers and agencies and things like that that we need to shed a light on, so that people getting into the industry can navigate what feels right for them. Yeah.
In a nutshell, do you think somebody needs to pay $2,000 to get into an agency?
No. Nope. No, and no. If you speak to any of the top agents, like any of the top agencies, they don't want a portfolio submitted to them. They want very simple, plain photographs, very little makeup, so they can look at you as a blank canvas and go, this person has natural skill or natural beauty, or they have an unusual look, or they suit, you know, Runway, or they suit Europe or USA or wherever it is. They don't want glammed up magazine shots. That's their job, is to create that. So if you go to an agency and they say, look, you know, you need to get a big portfolio, no. Where you need your portfolio is to get some of the work. But at the end of the day, what happens with the portfolio is it's not the professional photographs for your portfolio that are in there. It becomes photos from work that you've done, like those industry shots, whether it be for a label or a magazine or whatever it is. So that's what becomes your portfolio. And in today's society with social media, we don't need print as much. Everything's all done online. So you don't need to pay for your reprints and all these different things like that, like you used to. So no, you don't have to pay $2,000 to get into the industry at all.
Yeah.
No.
With the students that you have, are you ever with them experiencing these things? Like they fall into these traps and you're like, that was a trap.
All the time. Yeah, and as a coach, I can't do things for them. All I can do is give them the information, educate them. It's their decision. And as I said before, it comes down to failure. Sometimes you make a decision and go, oh, I should have listened to so-and-so. You learn, hopefully you learn from that. You know, everything is a lesson. There's a lesson in absolutely everything. Whether you learn the lesson or not, if you just keep hitting your head against a brick wall and you're not learning the lesson, that's pretty pointless. So if you go, okay, well, yeah, I should have listened. I've spent the money now, you know, so long as you learn the lesson, but I have it all the time. And I just go, I told you. But you're sitting there on the day, you made that decision. That's your call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With social media and technology going on, do you think that makes it easier for people to educate themselves with industry? Or do you think it's just not being talked about enough?
I think it's difficult. Okay, we talked about false information. Yeah. I don't know about you. How many times I get online to research something and there will be one article saying one thing, an article saying something different, and they all contradict each other. Yeah. So by the end, you are so confused, you don't know what to believe. So it's easy because we have access to information, but we have access to so much information that there's too much choice. It's like going into the supermarket and have 14 different brands of the same thing. Which one do I buy? So it's difficult to educate ourselves in a way that we feel confident because there's so much information. Fitness, food, diet, everything contradicts each other. And I think it comes down to learning from people within the industry about the reality. Because I'm not biased. I'm not going to say, don't go there, don't do this. I'm going to say, these are the general rules of the industry. You choose what you do with that, but this is what's accepted, this is what is expected here. You play the game how you want. But that's the reality. I don't ever say, go to this agency or don't go to that one or whatever. That's not my job. My job is to say, it's important for you to know these are the rules, what's accepted. Educate yourself, but get online and you will confuse yourself. So I think it comes through places like this where we can educate. Because talking to industry professionals, people that are in the industry, people that are working in the industry or been in the industry or seen the evolution of the industry, they're the ones you should listen to. Because anyone can write a blog. You know, anyone can have a website. So it's good that, you know, we have that information, but it's so confusing. It's the same with social media because someone's going to say something that they want you to hear, or they're sponsored by someone you don't know about. Yeah. We don't know the reality of what's behind that. So you've still got to be cautious. Yeah.
It still is really up to you what you believe and what you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As a coach, what do you think that says about the future of the next generation models?
I think in some ways it's harder for them because it's so confusing. It's so much around. I think I'll tell you what I would like. I would like it to go back to more opportunity in this country for up-and-comers. Because, as I was saying before, it's so hard to get your experience. And unless you're getting experience in pageants, if you don't want to be in a pageant, sometimes you enter a pageant just to get that runway experience because there's nothing else. So I would really love young labels, fresh labels, agencies, all sorts of things working together again to give experience to young models and photos and different things like that. So it exposes the industry a bit more to the general public as well, because we only see the glam, we only see the high end, we don't see the upper comer, you know, unless we see the pageant. And pageants aren't for everyone. So that didn't really answer your question, but but that's what I would like. I would really like to see it go backwards a little bit, because when it was the way it was, we had so much support and we were working every single weekend and doing different things, and it was creative, it was a great vibe. We don't have those opportunities now. And I think in that way it's harder for models because you have to be so perfect so quickly. You can't afford to make mistakes, and that puts extra pressure. Whereas, you know, back in the day, you could afford to make a few mistakes and you could learn because it wasn't broadcast on, you know, to millions of people, you know. And I think the goal with social media is get the most followers. The most followers you have, every time you make a mistake, it goes out to 5 million people or 2,000 people. We don't get that opportunity to do that in a venue where there's 25 people anymore. So I would like to see an opportunity, I think, for young models, kids and young adults and older adults, whoever's starting out in the industry, to have that opportunity to express their craft and learn about their craft in a professional way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be really good.
Yeah.
So with
That's our goal, right?
yes,
That's
definitely.
what we're starting our own revolution. We're going to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with
I
Runway
love it.
Academy.
Done
Get
it.
as many students.
I love it.
Teach
Yeah.
them the good and
Yeah,
the bad, because
yeah.
they need to know
And
that.
put on some shows and get this industry kicking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
That's what it needs.
Well, I mean, I know people that are starting their own fashion labels, and it's difficult for them too, because how do they get their clothes seen? You know, so I think there is a need in multiple areas. You've just got to band together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With all the experience that you have and everything you've observed and seen, heard, or whatever it is, what if you could do one project, doesn't matter how much it costs or what it takes to complete it, what would you do and why?
That's really difficult because, as you can tell by our conversations, I'm not a one thing person.
Definitely not.
No, I don't get bored, but I need to do multiple things. I think what I would love.
Just one thing.
Oh, you're making it hard for me. Can I do one thing that has lots of things in it? Okay, so it would be, I guess, like things like Runway Academy. It would be create or work with a company and create a space that is almost like a production company, where it produces seminars, workshops, tuition, mentorship, produces shows, fashion shows, does photo shoots, all sorts of things within that scene. So like a one-stop shop kind of thing where you can go get advice, legal advice, counseling, whatever it is, fitness, dietary, styling, you know, or maybe you just, I don't know, you don't know your body shape. What do I dress like? What do I need to dress for my body shape? How many people don't know how to dress for their body shape? Or don't want to be a runway, but they can't wear heels. They don't know how to walk in heels. Just everything from everyday people that want to do something to better themselves, to project an image, a more confident image, to people that really want to work in the industry, whether it be on runway or TV, presenting, because modeling's not just about walking down a runway. All these models have to talk to camera. They all have to present a label. They have to act. That's what diversity is. You have to do that if you want to be successful in any industry, particularly ours, the creative industry. So for me, it would be to have a one-stop shop that can do all that, because then I don't have to just do one thing. See? I got what I wanted.
You found a loop in the question.
I did, didn't I? I got it round back to the way I wanted. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Oh,
It was amazing to have you behind the lens.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we've learned a lot of things from the start until now, and I definitely hope to see more from Quintin James. We learned that you never experience just one thing. You'll always have experiences from different areas of life, and it's up to you and how you take it. And it always has to be in an outlook where you feel educated and empowered and more confident in yourself. Thank you so much for listening with us here at Behind the Lens. We'll see you guys next time. From being a young gymnast and acrobat, he became a dancer, an actor, and a whole multitude of things in the performing arts, entertainment industry. He then became a coach for a variety of things. A runway model coach is one of his professions today, and he's working to educate students about the modeling industry, its goods, and also its bad and ugly side. Because you not only need to know the benefits of your work, but also the requirements that it needs for you to be successful, so that you can have a happy, successful life, but also a very colorful and a very fully lived life. This is Behind the Lens, and we'll see you guys next time.